Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. How is everyone doing today? And it is finally time, the long-awaited EZA'S for the non-transforming Dragon Ball superhero movie Ultimate Gohan and the orange Piccolo that is a giant form is, yeah. They're here. And from what I have seen, they are really good EZAs. And I don't know much about the details. So, as I like to do, I have the free EZA details on the left of the screen with my profile picture just sticking out a little bit. So, let's hop into the details. So, first, we're going to do the physical Ultimate Gohan. And so the leader skill goes from being a regular 200% to a key 3 200% plus 1 key, like the 200%ers do. So that doesn't actually change that much. Okay, now on to the passive. This is still the same condition. It's not that hasn't changed for some reason. So activates the entrance animation when there is another bond of parent and child category ally on the team upon the character's entry. He plus 24 for one turn, and then 200% attack and defense and guard for the rest of the battle, which is really good. That's really good. That used to be 100% attack and defense and guard for 3 turns. Then we have 200% attack and defense straight up of the basic effect, which is up from 150. And the next part is the same, receiving an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained. Then you have a damage reduction rate of 40%. Wow. Okay. Then for every super attack performed, key 3 up to 9. And 100% attack and defense up to 200. That used to be 30% attack and defense up to 150. No key. And then when attacking with 20 or more key, has a guaranteed additional super attack, and attacks are effective against all types. That used to be just a great chance of becoming a super attack. Okay, I am liking this already. And then, remember, he's still getting an additional key per key sphere obtained. So that's going to be pretty easy, especially the first turn where he's getting 24 key automatically. Now we have when activating the active skill, or when attacking with 24 key. That used to just be attacks are effective against all types. But we have that already with 20 or more key, so instead we're now getting 100% attack and a guaranteed crit. So I wonder if that's gonna activate for the additional attacks as well. That's a curious thing to look out for. Okay, then we have when activating the active skill, a temporary 300% attack additionally, and that is not part of the passive period. And when receiving a super attack for 4 turns in the character's entry turn is a guaranteed 15% additional damage reduction. And temporarily, so that's just when the super attack is active, not necessarily for that turn. And if it is a Ki Blast super attack, has a guaranteed nullification. That used to be just a 50% chance of nullifying it. And then starting from the 5th turn from the character's entry turn, a 70% chance of damage reduction rate of 15% temporarily. And if it is a Ki Blast super attack, also 70% chance of nullifying. So that's still better. then 50%. So that's another 20% chance to go and counter it. Okay, and this, I understand why they labeled it as when receiving a super attack. I was initially excited that they had changed it from Ki Blast to all super attacks, which would be for the Gogetas. But it's just Ki Blast super attacks that you can nullify. But the extra damage reduction can activate for any kind of super attack. Now, onto the super attacks. So, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes colossal damage with a high chance, which is a 50% chance to stun, which is up from greatly raises attack and raises defense. So now it's both greatly raises attack and defense, and the medium chance to stun is now a high chance to stun. And the 18 key was greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Now it's greatly raises attack for 4 turns, greatly raises defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy, and instead of a 20% attack and defense lower, it's now a 50% attack and defense lower. This is a very solid EZA. Remember, LR stats. Then he has 200 plus 200 plus 200 defense, then a standard 40% damage reduction, plus guard permanently. I think this will actually be a really good defensive unit. You see, most units don't get the guard if they have the damage reduction, and if they have the damage reduction, they don't have the guard, which is essentially the same thing that I'm saying, but the fact remains is that he has both guard and damage reduction. Okay, on to the Piccolo. Right? So we have the same thing as the Gohan. The leader skill just changes that the secondary part of the leader skill, which is the 30% additional to stats, now has an additional key. So there is, again, not much that changes with leader skills in that regard. Alright, so we have, again, the activating the entrance animation when there's another Bond of Master and Disciple category ally on the team upon the character's entry. So, similar to the Gohan, 100% attack and defense and guard for 3 turns is now 200% attack and defense permanent, and the guard is as well permanent, and then for 1 turn, 30% damage reduction. Basic effects are 200% attack and defense, receives an additional key per key share obtained, and has a chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction rate of 40%, so that is up from 150 to 200% the stats, and 20% damage reduction to 40% damage reduction. Nice. Very nice. Again, also a guarding unit. And then for every attack received, 50% attack and defense up to 200%, instead of 30% attack and defense up to 150, and then 2 key up to 8. Okay, still good. Still good. As the first attacker on a turn, which is not in the pre-EZA passive, 100% defense before attacking. I'm surprised that's not 25% damage reduction or something like that. And then after receiving an attack, as the first attacker on a turn. Okay. 100% attack, chance of performing a critical hit 40%, and all allies keep +2 within the turn. So that is basically everything from the pre-EZA in the passive, and then additionally, now, after receiving an attack as the second or third attacker on a turn, all allies gain an additional 2 ki, and attack and defense and chance of performing a critical hit of 20% for 2 turns. Okay, that is nice. So in case you don't want to put him in slot 1, because there's no attacks in slot 1, or whatever the case may be. Okay, I like that. And then when HP is 30% or less, at the start of the character's attacking turn, after the character receives 4 or more attacks in battle, which is down from 7, so that's a lot more accessible now. Fully recovers HP, that's the same. Chance of performing your critical hit and damage reduction rate of 15%. The damage reduction rate was 30. Is that all for the passive? That can't be. Why would they take away 15% damage reduction? Just because they're giving 20% damage reduction higher up? That's mind-boggling. Hear me out. This brings a total damage reduction to 55%. And then the pre-EZA has a 50%. Granted, there's the guard for the rest of the battle, but I'm like wondering if this is not a typo. I'm wondering if this is not a typo, because there's nothing more to the passive. That is so odd. Surely there's more to the passive. Surely there's more to that passive, or that's a mistake. Oh well. On to the other part of the Piccolo, which is the Giant Form. Giant Form Piccolo's passive, which is not much, granted. Instead of receiving an additional ki +2 per ki sphere obtained, he's now getting 3 with a 100% attack and a guaranteed additional attack that has a 50% chance of becoming a super attack, and that is up from a medium chance, which is 30%. Okay, then the 12 ki super greatly raises attack temporarily, becomes massively raises attack temporarily, and destructive damage is now colossal damage, and all attacks become critical hits. And then for the 18 ki super, massively raises attack temporarily, which is the same, and it now becomes mega colossal damage to the enemy, and all attacks become crits. Very, very cool to see, indeed. Very cool to see, indeed. But again, like I said before, I am tremendously surprised at this last part of the passive for Piccolo. But all in all, I think these are really solid units. Again, Piccolo is also running at the 600% defense plus the 100% defense before attacking, plus the 40% damage reduction straight off the bat, and of course if HP is at 30% or less at the start of the character's attack turn after 4 attacks in battle, an additional 15% damage reduction rate. I mean, I would have loved to see that to be 20% at the very least. It does not make sense that they'd go from 30% down to 20%. It's to 15%, I apologize. But all in all, these are really solid EZAs. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you all enjoyed. If you are new here, if you haven't already done so, please do consider subscribing. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Ocean signing off.